use cases of Web3 through DePIN.
Spheron directly connects GPU providers with developers and business in the need of powerful on-demand compute. Enjoy the best-in-class pricing and uninterrupted uptime on a network that is dynamic, scalable, and ready for tomorrow. Hello everyone, Daniel from DePIN Hub here, and today we have Doug, CEO and co-founder of Livepeer, a company revolutionizing the video streaming and live transcoding and coding industry through decentralized infrastructure and DePIN. Thanks so much for joining the podcast, Doug. It's a pleasure to have you here. We saw each other just a few weeks ago at ECC in Brussels. Actually, we shared the stage, right? The event of ECC, that was like basically a DePIN event every day of the week, sorry. It was super interesting, and then it was really nice to share the space with you. Thanks for joining. Let's get started by you introduce yourself, your background, and your role at Livepeer.
Yeah, Daniel, thanks for having me here on the show. Excited to be here. I'm Doug Pitcanix. I'm the co-founder of a project called Livepeer. We've been around for 7+ years on the mission to build the world's open video infrastructure. So what that means is developers that are building video applications that look like Twitch or look like YouTube, they need an underlying infrastructure to make the video work over the internet at scale. Even though we're 40 years into the internet at this point, it's still a challenge to get video to work well without technical difficulties, without buffering, especially when you have many users creating streams, consuming streams. And so you need an infrastructure that can ingest that video, process that video, encode it into many different formats and bit rates, deliver it to all the viewers on all the device types over the planet. And so Livepeer is, in a way, one of the sort of original and longest running DePIN networks, if you will, that has node operators all around the world contributing their GPUs and their compute capacity to doing video processing. And the result is, a network with that processes 3 million minutes of video per week across hundreds of applications built on top of it. I'm earning fees for all the node operators contributing their compute capacity, and happy to dive into all of that as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds really interesting. One of the OGs in the space, right? I think the top OGs. So you guys are also like FFmpeg pros, I can imagine. Like, I'm not really into like video transcoding, but I played already a lot in the past with this kind of technology. There's some fun things. There's a lot of like people that go crazy in the technology with art. And FFmpeg, I think, is one of the biggest software that does this kind of transcoding. I don't know. You know much more than me, right?
Well, that's right. It's interesting you mentioned that, because so there's this piece of open source software called FFmpeg, and every single video application in the world almost uses this in some way and is built on top of it in some way. And it's such a critical piece of software. And it's actually amazing how much the core FFmpeg team struggles to get funding, to get contributions, to get developers to work on this that can understand it and go deep on this. I think, some of the big tech companies have actually allocated, made donations of a couple $100,000 to do this, which is so little compared to the value they get out of like being able to build YouTube or Twitch, leveraging it. And actually, if you go back to the origin story of Livepeer, my co-founder Eric and I, we worked on 2 startups previously, one that worked great, one that didn't work great. And we were really jaded in the one that didn't work out by the fact that these like big tech companies with their proprietary services, APIs, and networks actually controlled our distribution, changed their APIs, cut off access. And we're like, screw this. Never again are we like, putting our company's livelihood in the hands of a few like closed source proprietary big tech companies. And on the other hand, there is this new open development platform that just launched in 2015. This was really 2016, called Ethereum. And we're like, wow, this is an open source development platform. It actually lets you embed economic incentives into open source software like FFmpeg that gets people to contribute to it, run it at scale, and form networks around it in a way where they actually they benefit and get upside if those networks are useful and used and their contributions are valuable. And that is actually a superpower of blockchain technology that actually creates the right incentives for people to contribute to open source video software and open access networks. And, it was early on in this Web3 movement. That wasn't even a term yet that people were using, but we saw a really exciting opportunity to build out a sort of video infrastructure that benefits from all those primitives, because video is, it's 80% of the traffic on the internet. It's how we learn, we work, we communicate, we get entertained, right? And it's super important. And we've been excited to be on this sort of experimental journey ever since.
Exactly. I mean, right now we're talking using a software called Riverside, and what it does is I'm seeing you in a lower quality, but then on the background actually is recording all this video in the highest quality possible. That after the podcast is done, I can download the file at the highest quality. So actually, it's using some sort of like video transcoding as well, right? In a way, and it could be using Livepeer.
That's right. Yeah, under the hood, to get this video delivered to everyone without buffering, you need to actually do a lot of compute. You need to process these HD videos really quickly into many different lower resolution, lower bitrate formats so that you can send like a smaller file to a mobile device on a 4G connection than you send to someone on a high bandwidth smart TV that can handle the 1080p or 4K HD version, right? And there's so much compute that goes into that transcoding process. That's what the Livepeer network has really created incentives to aggregate this worldwide network of compute and GPUs to do that processing. And it's not the only form of video compute either. Transcoding is important, but with the rise of sort of artificial intelligence, you can do all sorts of other exciting compute on videos. Like you can enhance the video and upscale it so that you can send lower qualities, but then display HD versions. You can insert frames so you can have smoother animations on like animated type videos. And you can actually now you can generate videos from prompts, which is wild. Users can type text prompts and you can spit out a couple seconds of video, and that's going to be a game changer for creatives. So the Livepeer network is sort of integrating all these capabilities as well.
Yeah, and it's really cool to think, right? Like you guys start with something like more, let's say, simpler, not simple, but like simpler than everything that you can do now, and now it has all the extra things you can do, upscaling. You said like framing, like smoothing, which like makes 30 frames per second to 60 frames per second, for example, or upscaling to 4K, etc. Right? That's super interesting. What kind of devices does one person needs to have in order to join a network with, like on the supply side as well?
Yeah, so if you have extra compute capacity and you wanna, it's sitting idle sometimes, you wanna make some money off of it, you can run a node on the Livepeer network. And for these different types of jobs, there's different sort of compute requirements. So, if you have a typical gaming GPU, like an NVIDIA 1060, 1070 or 1070, 1080, for example, an older card, those cards actually happen to have dedicated video encoding and decoding ASIC chips on them called NVENCs and NVDECs. And those can be used to transcode multiple streams of video just fine, even though these are older and cheaper cards. And that's great. That creates a tremendous amount of supply because there's millions of these things deployed for gaming, deployed for crypto mining, etc. Hey, if you want to do some of the cutting edge AI work, like you want to generate videos from prompts, you're looking at the higher grade data center class GPUs. The 4090s seem to be a sweet spot, but the A100s, H100s, which have been really popular in generative AI, are real powerhouses and pretty expensive as well. So all of these compete on an open marketplace, and every provider competes on their performance, the price they're offering, and their quality of service, essentially. It also helps to be located near the source of video if you're transcoding, so your location can matter. And the beauty of the network is that it's sort of like auto magical, if you will. A video user uses their node to send a video in, and that node finds a nearby provider. It might find multiple. It fails over very quickly if one's not working or doesn't return results fast enough. So a user can just assume that their video compute job will be performed reliably and cost effectively. And it's taken many years of iteration to get to that point of reliability. But as seen by powering some of the largest streaming applications, and not just Web3, but Web2 as well, it's working better and better.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, maybe I should try with I do have a 4090 in a spare computer that I have for doing some AI playing, also some like F1 simulation racing. But most of the time is doing some sort of processing as well with some DePIN projects, right? How can you compare, like you say, Livepeer with other like traditional streaming solutions that you have out there? I don't know, like Cloudflare have them, or like...
Yeah, Cloudflare is definitely an option that our users, compare against Livepeer, and many users choose. First of all, it's worth recognizing the Livepeer network alone is like a protocol, and it's a little low level. It creates this video compute interface for transcoding and AI processing. Now, there's lots of open source software built on top of that round out more of a full video stack. And there's actually a product called Livepeer Studio, which is an end-to-end streaming platform that has many of the same features as Cloudflare, as you mentioned, or Mux.com, or Amazon's, IDS services, or Brightcove, or Vimeo, or these developer-facing video platforms. And so a lot of times users will evaluate and choose Livepeer Studio because it's cost-effective and because it has really good features around sort of interactive, low latency video streaming, which enables things like interactive game shows and betting type use cases, and all the fun things that let the audience participate in live streams with the creators at the same time. So we see some exciting examples around that, like Fishtank.live is this like game show where the audience sort of bids and influences what happens in real time. Hundreds of thousands of people in the Reddit crowd are watching, and you see some sports use cases, some like interactive gambling use cases. So a lot of people choose Livepeer Studio for that feature set and the cost effectiveness of the end-to-end platform, including using the media server built around Livepeer for content delivery, which can save a lot of money on CDN bills.
Nice. So basically, the Livepeer Studio is a tool, like a SaaS product built on top of the Livepeer protocol or infrastructure that they can easily, without having to know a lot about technology, I suppose, without to really understand like the terminal or like programming language or anything like that. And then for those who understand that, they can build things on top of that, right?
Yeah, Livepeer Studio still targets a video developer, right? They still target a developer that's building a video application. It's not for a individual that shows up that wants to do one stream, right? But what don't they don't need to know about crypto. They don't need to know about blockchain. They don't need to know about depositing and paying with ETH on the network. They don't need to know about scaling and load balancing many nodes, right? They just get an API key and enter their credit card, and they use the SaaS service. And that's where a lot of the like traditional like Web 2 enterprise demand comes from, right? But there's other businesses that are built more directly on the network that maybe serve different verticals, like StreamETH. It actually leverages Studio in a way as well, but StreamETH is an event streaming company. And so they stream, a lot of the conferences in the Web3 space, like they were at HCC and doing all main stage streams and a lot of side events last week. And, it's a very different business. Like their customers are not video developers. Their customers are conference organizers who don't need to know anything about video. They just hire StreamETH to be the streaming platform and to do event production. And then, StreamETH gets a cost-effective underlying infrastructure to power, all these events. And then, on the AI side, we see a lot more community projects building direct on the network because the interface is a little simpler, right? You're sending prompts to the network and you're getting back images or video assets. And it's sort of easy as a developer to reason about that. A little more than transcoding, where it's like, I'm building a complex video application. I need many, many things. Let me plug in just to transcoding. So that's been good for decentralization and seeing more things built direct on the network.
How does the system actually work, in the sense that, let's say there's many things, right? One, I'm streaming, like just streaming the data and transcoding at the same time. What if that file is stored somewhere, let's say Filecoin or somewhere else, and then someone wants to watch that video in their computer on the website and they want to change the quality? Like, what are the different options that people have to stream and also just consume the information?
There's a lot of layers to that question because video is complex and there's a million different workflows that people choose for different use cases. But to try and simplify, there's this protocol called HLS that enables adaptive bitrate streaming and delivery. All the video players support it, all the browsers support it. So typically the way it works is you stream a video into your Livepeer node, and then it uses the network and the nodes on the network send back all the different renditions you ask for. So you send in a 4K video, you get back a 1080p, a 720p, a 240p video, different frame rates that you want. They all get included in what's called a manifest or a playlist file that says to the video player in the browser that the user is using to watch it, it says, hey, here's the 6 different versions that are available. And here is the URL to request the video segments, the 2-second segments in that version. And then the player says, okay, like I've done a connection check. I have enough, this user has enough capacity to handle the 1080p version. And it says, give me the segments in the 1080p version, and it gives you the URL for segment 1, segment 2, right? And your Livepeer node does this. But then it'll say, oh, the connection is slowing down and I need to actually drop down to the 240p version. Let me switch and get the URLs for those segments. And then, oh, my connection's back up. Let me switch and get a higher quality. So video players do this. Livepeer has a player as well that you can use under the hood. Now, if you want to store the files. It's up to you as the node operator user where you want to store it. If you use Livepeer Studio, it has integrations with IPFS and Arweave and Storj and Amazon and Google Cloud and wherever storage platform of choice. And then typically you still store those segments and you store the manifest file. And then how you deliver it is sort of up to you. You can play it direct off of one of those networks. Storj actually does a great job of delivering the video in real time, or you can put a CDN in front of it. And if you play through Livepeer Studio for a stream, they're actually using the Livepeer nodes that are spread around the world to be the origins for delivery, which represents a big cost savings over using a CDN. Probably not for millions of users, but we've done Skrillex and Fred Again concerts that have tens of thousands of users watching, and some of these other shows have hit mid 5-6 figures of viewers, and it's been an effective infrastructure.
Amazing. Yeah, that's super interesting. Like I really like to try to understand this, and I'm learning a lot just by talking to you right now. I think it's super interesting the way that everything works, and it's better than when it's decentralized still, right? Especially. And then on the network you have two kinds of nodes, basically one that processes, one that validates. Like, can you touch a little bit of that? Maybe I'm completely wrong as well.
Yeah, like the three actors we talk about on our network are our gateway nodes. Think of that as the user that wants to send in video and get the transcoded outputs, or send in an AI prompt and get a video out, right? That's the gateway node. They talk to the orchestrator nodes. These are the sort of the really Livepeer aware supply side nodes that compete for the jobs. So if you want to run an orchestrator, you put down stake in the form of the Livepeer token to secure your work. You should be online 24/7. You need to be competing on price and quality of service. And then there's a role which the protocol is actually not aware of, but it's important. We call it the transcoder role. This is actually, think of it as the GPU. That's where the work gets done. So typically an orchestrator might just run their own transcoder processes. They might run many of them or one of them. Same for AI. You might run sort of AI worker processes that connect to the orchestrator. What's kind of cool is a bunch of the orchestrators run pools, and they open up who provides the transcoders to anyone in the world or anyone that registers with them. And so they actually are scaling their capacity to thousands of GPUs just by opening up to the public. And then they have their own protocol for how do they handle trust, how do they judge performance, how do they settle payouts and whatnot. That's sort of outside the Livepeer protocol, but it's a great sort of like layer 2 scaling solution that really opens up the compute on the network. Because then those transcoders, like, they don't have to know about Livepeer. They don't have to have token. They don't have to put down stake. They can leave that to the orchestrators and just earn rewards for compute. Also, like I'll just mention, like, if you don't want to run infrastructure, you can still help this network by essentially staking your Livepeer token, not to your own node, but to one of these orchestrator nodes who will do the work on your behalf. And you want to stake it towards one that will perform well and earn fees and share those fees back with you. So it's in your interest to like stake towards high performing nodes, and that the amount of stake a node has actually influences how much work it can secure and how much work it performs. So the role of your average token holder who stakes is they're sort of like doing quality assurance, and they're choosing where work gets routed on the network. And the more useful the network is, the more fees it will earn, the more will be shared back in commission to these token holders. And all of these people who stake, whether it's a token holder who delegates or an orchestrator, in addition to the fees they're earning, they're also earning some inflationary Livepeer token each day, sort of as the ongoing token distribution over years that routes the sort of ownership in the network to those who are like helping the network and doing the work. And it only goes to them. It sort of dilutes everyone else who's just sitting on the sidelines and not helping. And so it's like a participation incentive.
Ethereum lets you unlock the full potential of decentralized compute, whether you are a user or provider. Enjoy instant access to on-demand compute so you can scale your most powerful applications, or turn your idle GPUs into passive profits in just a few easy clicks, whether you've got a premium server or personal laptop. Ethereum users enjoy frictionless onboarding, intelligent matchmaking, and real-time monitoring and analytics as you type in the world's most user-friendly, cost-effective DePIN computer exchange on the market. Welcome to Ethereum, the infinite computer network. Yeah, no, I think you guys also been working a lot for a long time. I can imagine tweaking the tokenomics, making things are like well aligned, right? You have the Livepeer token or LPT, right? And then on the Livepeer too, you're mentioning, I like to touch that about this because you think people can not even think it's crypto, paying credit card, but then does there some sort of like burn mechanism? How does that convert into the LPT? Is there a company that runs that? Is your company or like a subsidiary that does that and then use that money to buy more LPT tokens from the market? Like, how does that? How do you guys do that?
There is a company, Livepeer Inc. I'm the one of the founders and CEO of that company. You can think of it as two divisions. One is Livepeer Studio, and the other is our sort of ecosystem growth team, which is like this, more ecosystem focused, decentralization focused project, core infrastructure focused. Livepeer Studio is just a user of the Livepeer network. It drives a lot of the demand, and it charges users to use its video infrastructure, and then it pays fees into the network to use the network to do the compute, right? And so the more demand it generates, the more fees flow into the network. But as we learned, we didn't start with this business or Livepeer Studio. Along the way, we realized, hey, this is not a if you build it, they will come scenario. It's actually necessary to have a polished, well-rounded product that can meet the $100 billion plus video streaming market where it is. And where it is not just selling transcoding compute alone. It's actually bundling that with like ingestion, delivery, like a player, analytics, but also business functions like sales and support and account management and SLAs. And so, the studio business makes money from other things beyond just the Livepeer network, and that's still healthy and sustainable and allows it to actually exist and grow and drive demand to the network.
Awesome. So you guys basically have like a SaaS product, I would say. That's the Livepeer Studio, and then the protocol, the infrastructure company that does, the work behind that sustain everything that's happening.
That's right. And the aligning thing is still the Livepeer token. Like this company holds a bunch of Livepeer token. Company does well if the network is useful and valuable as a result, which is the same for any node operator, token holder, developer in our ecosystem.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then you guys have been around for like 7.5 years. What are you guys working now? Like you've been working for a long time in this project, building a lot of the infrastructure, making sure that the tokenomics work and everything. Are you guys going to maintain? I was working on the Ethereum layer 1. And what have you guys been focused in the past, let's say 6 months? And then what do you want to be for the next end of the year and to like 5 years?
Yeah. So unsurprisingly, a huge thing that we're looking at is with the rise of generative AI, that's going to change everything as it relates to media creation, media consumption, video, obviously. So we're looking at like, how is video going to change and video infrastructure going to change as a result of the fact that people and machines can now like create video assets simply via text or programming or community generated prompts and stuff like this. Not only is like that process going to change, but it's going to require so much compute, so many GPUs. And it just so happens that the Livepeer network is a network of thousands of GPUs that can be used to effectively enable this at a time when everyone needs it. And so, a huge priority has been enabling those capabilities on our network, integrating those capabilities into the products that are built around the network, because unlike many sort of like AI first projects or even projects that like pivot because of an AI opportunity, Livepeer has always been mission oriented around like world's open video infrastructure. We're trying to be video first. That's what lets us know who our users are, what our product and go to market looks like, how we're useful to video developers. And so we're running really hard to make sure that the world's open video infrastructure is also the killer infrastructure that powers the future of AI-enabled video. Big opportunity. Community is really excited about it. A lot of progress made, not just from our team, but from an on-chain treasury that people make proposals to. And there's actually 3 or 4 independent companies or teams in the ecosystem that are all like working full-time to bring these capabilities and products to life.
No, that's super, super cool. Okay, let's say I have my 4090 just in the living room right now doing nothing. What do I need to know? What do I need to do to start getting and contributing to the Livepeer project?
Yeah, go to livepeer.org, find the documentation. There's a node operator section. And there's a couple ways you can get involved. You can just easily join one of these pools. And then that's a great way to start learning. you'll definitely want to join our Discord, where our node operators are like the beating heart of our community, and they're super helpful and supportive. Even though they're competing with one another, they're actually way more just Livepeer aligned and helping new people and helping everyone else. So yeah, that's the easiest way. And if you want to run a node, it's certainly open and accessible, but you would need some Livepeer token to stake in order to sort of get into the top 100 slots. And it's a little bit of a barrier. There's a cost to that, as well as how you secure the work. You could also campaign to attract that stake from other third parties. But I might suggest just dropping in the Discord, joining a pool, and taking that as a first step as you sort of learn the technical nature of how to run nodes.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm going to make sure to leave all the links for the Discord, for the project, also the project listed on DePIN Hub, on the description of this video, of the audio, anywhere you're listening to or watching, right? We right now we post everything on YouTube, but definitely we should start looking to how to do, like, at least on the website, to do like a more decentralized way with Livepeer. Maybe starting also with StorageJ, because we already had an episode with them a few weeks ago. It's a great ecosystem, right? You see right now you can have CPU, you can have video transcoding, storage, AI. I mean, there's so many things that you can do right now with decentralized infrastructure. And I think that's just the beginning, right? You guys were one of the grandfathers of this idea, but now there's a lot of new projects coming to the market, right? Is there any project that you're very excited about?
Hey, I'm excited about a lot of the projects that are focused on the like decentralized AI space, sort of for the right motivations and the right reasons. Like they realize, hey, compute is needed, but also we need open access AI infrastructure, because there's just a few big tech companies that have proprietary models and the infrastructure, and they're sort of doing this regulatory capture thing where they're trying to create regulations to prevent open source. So, I'm excited about projects that are contributing earnestly around that space, from Akash to Morpheus to even BitTensor, and some of these projects that just create like open ecosystems for people to run experiments.
Exactly. Is there anything that you'd like to tell our listeners about what's happening with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we have a really, really, smart and motivated and passionate community. Check us out at livepeer.org. Follow us on Twitter at Livepeer. And there's lots of opportunities to actually get involved through bounties, through grant funding, through node operation, and even just staking token as well. So we'd love to welcome you. Check out Livepeer, and we'll see you in the Discord.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining the podcast. It was a really nice time to have you here. I hope to see you also in Token 2049 in Singapore at the end of the year, or some other conference that's going to happen all the time now in the world with crypto. Thanks so much. And yeah, let's continue building. Hope to have you guys now on the podcast again, when we're going to be talking most about AI transcoding and live, video creation and things like that. I think that could be a big chunk of the future, right?
Great. Thanks, Daniel. Good to be here.
Thank you, man. Have a great day, and see you guys next episode. Bye-bye.